that you were confirmed. What I'm saying is that I might have actually used that information, there isn't that particular.
Sometimes I do.
My kids have been threatened to watch it, I'm like, don't you dare, you do that, you're out of the will.
Exactly. Just don't take
I
it.
don't even know what they're talking about.
Record it and replay it next holiday. And holiday.
Yeah, exactly. I do that so that it was.
Sweet. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, folks, turn on your microphones. Good. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7 p.m. on October 21st.
Chandra Harvani,
Here.
Gary Rosen,
Here.
Regina Truitt,
Here.
Priscilla Sarab,
Here.
Jessica Glatt,
Here.
Ray Clayton.
Here. First up this evening, we have approval of minutes of September 16th, 2024. Any corrections or changes to those? If not, who's eligible?
Chandra, Priscilla, Jessica Craig.
Would one of those three like to move approval of those minutes?
I move approval.
And a second?
And second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next up, we have two memorializations this evening. First one being calendar 39/11/23, Amayo Garbayo, 146 Sagamore Road in Millburn. Any corrections or changes to that memorialization? If not, who do we have eligible?
Eligible tonight, Chandra, Jessica Craig.
Okay, small crowd there. Can I have a motion to adopt the memorialization?
a motion to approve calendar 39/11/23.
And a second?
Second.
Chandra Harjani,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt,
Yes.
Ray Clayton.
Yes. Lastly, we have calendar 39/89/24, Alap Merchant, 241 Long Hill Drive. Any corrections or changes? Who's eligible on that?
Eligible are Chandra, Priscilla, Jessica Craig.
I have a motion to approve that memorialization.
Motion to approve calendar 39/89/24.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you.
Chandra Harjani,
Yes.
Priscilla Sarab,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt,
Yes.
Ray Clayton.
Yes. Okay, real quick. I'm assuming that we have both the parties are here regarding the cases, but I'm just gonna go through real quick for the record as to what we're not hearing this evening. Calendar 39/74/24, this is 389 Milburn Avenue, 389 Milburn Avenue LLC. This matter is being carried to 11/18/24 with no further notice. Next up, we have calendar 39/93/24. The applicant is Jonah Rathbun at 61 Slayton. That matter is being carried to 12/2/24 with no further notice being given. We also have calendar 39/84/24 at 57 Thackeray Drive, Varon and Nidhi Rastogi. That matter is being carried to 12/16/24 with no further notice. Any of the changes we made in the website, part of materials of those three cases. So first up this evening, we have calendar 4024. This matter is carried from 8/19/24, Signature Realty. So come on down.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. James First, F-O-E-R-S-T, Law Offices of Spector First and Associates, on behalf of Signature Realty, represented by the principal, Michelle. Don't have a seat, Michelle Pais. I also have here architect Jim Raymental. I'm not going to call him as a witness, but he's here if there's questions. This is for a sign variance, and we're going to have Mr. Dave Prusill of Sign Source testify about the sign.
So why don't we swear everybody in that's going to be.
Jim, come on up too, just in case.
Okay, so if everybody would just, do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in connection to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please get your names and spell them for the record. Start.
James J. Ramental, R-A-M-E-N-T-O-L, Principal of GRA Architects.
Michelle Pais, P-A-I-S.
David A. Prusel, P-R-E-U-C-I-L, principal and owner of SignSource.
Thank you.
Vote, Counselor.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for your time this evening. I just want to give a brief overview. I think it'll help the board understand the presentation a little better. Signature Realty was approved from the building department to build what is one of their flagship offices on Milburn Avenue. Michelle, I'll tell you, she's been waiting a long time to get into town, and she's happy that she's here. That was a conforming application with one exception. The sign that Michelle would like to have on the building doesn't comport to your ordinance. Not as to size. The sign ordinance, based on the square footage of her building, would allow for a 308 square foot sign. She's not asking for that. She's asking only for 48 square feet. The issue presents itself because the way the ordinance is written, a sign of this nature can't be any higher than the top of the first floor, which presents itself a unique situation because Michelle's building is in fact 2 stories. But if she were to have made it some kind of vaulted ceiling or cut the middle out and merely had 1 floor that had 28-foot ceilings, theoretically, the reading of your ordinance would then allow her to have a 28-foot tall sign. So it's an anomaly a little bit. We look into downtown, and as I walk here downtown, I did it on the way here, I drove it, and every sign is basically above the doorways. And that's nice. It looks beautiful from a streetscape perspective. As pedestrians walk through the town, it's easy for them to spot and locate the place that they want to go. They take advantage of the public parking, roll into the town, and it's easy for them to visualize it. It's not up here. They don't have to crane their neck. Your town is based on pedestrian traffic, and that is great. The zone that Michelle is in is a little bit of a split zone. The zone that Michelle's property is in is at what I'll call the western end of Milburn Avenue. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And in that's more of a driving destination kind of area. We have the new CVS on the corner. We then, as we roll down, coming towards town, we have buildings that are standalone. We have a dry cleaner. We then have the Sotheby's building. We then have an empty building. All of those have parking lots. It's not really a walking kind of streetscape. And then all of a sudden, whereas Michelle's building is, it's not going to be a pedestrian type of building where pedestrian traffic is going to come in. It's a driving destination. And what Michelle wants to be able to do is to direct people to see her building as they drive down the street. And that's why she's asking for relief from the ordinance as to the height of the sign, not so that it's at the 12 feet or 13 feet where it would be between the first and second floors. Your ordinance requires but a conforming sign that's merely a little taller on the building. And that's the crux of our case. So my intention this evening would be to call Michelle. She can tell you a little bit about her business, a little bit about her desire, a little bit about her building, and then we'll call Mr. Raymental, who can walk us through the different signs that are in and around your town, the locations of those signs, the heights of those signs, so you can see that there's a little bit different in this particular neighborhood and that there are others examples of this similarly situated in and about Milburn. So with that, I call Michelle Pais, principal of Signature Real Estate.
Thanks, Jim. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Pais. I am a principal of Signature Realty NJ. I founded Signature NJ about 15 years ago. We have 8 locations, Short Hills being our last and final one. For the past 20 years, I've always wanted to have a beautiful building in Short Hills. And we actually did make offers on a couple of buildings, and unfortunately, it just didn't materialize. So long and behold, 2 years ago, I was driving down the street and I see this building in need of a lot of love, former Eyes for the Needy, and then I saw for sale signs. So immediately, I thought this would be the perfect place for our team and our staff, and it just had a lot of potential. My husband 2 years later tells me to stop having visions because it was literally 2 years of a lot of work and tears, and we finally got to the finish line and the building came out beautiful. I don't know if you guys had a chance to drive by, but I welcome you inside if you ever want to stop in for a nice cup of coffee. Yes, we do serve coffee to clients and people that want to come in. But this was really like a lifelong dream that finally came to fruition. And now the issue is that no one can see it. So it's really covered by vegetation. There's just so much trees, particularly in the front part of it, and you just can't see it. So we're just asking for, visibility, because what's happening right now is people are actually going to the wrong lot because they can't see the sign. So that's all. Thank you.
And You're on Milburn Avenue, and what's the corner street?
Yeah, I'm Melbourne and Baltimore.
Go ahead. And then directly across from Baltimore, what business is directly across the street from Baltimore?
Coldwell Banker.
Coldwell Banker. So as
So-
people drive by your building, they then say, oops, missed it, and what
Right.
do? They pull into the Coldwell Banker parking lot.
That's exactly what's
Not
happening.
good for business.
Thank you.
I turn Michelle over to, I have nothing further. I don't know if the board has questions or if the public has questions.
Any questions for the witness?
What is closest residence to your apartment building or private residence to?
If I can answer that one, there is a residence in the rear of the parking lot that abuts her building. So if you look at Milburn Avenue along that strip, along Milburn Avenue is the commercial retail area, and then directly behind all of those properties are the rear of residential homes.
Yeah, the Baltimore area.
But the facade that she wants the building on, across the street is the new development in the lot that was vacant for 20 years. And then across the street is also a new real estate office, which has a sign about 25 feet high that is internally illuminated and that brightens up the neighborhood to say Jeffrey Realty. Of course, that's in Springfield. It's not in Milburn. Milburn wouldn't allow a sign of that nature.
How close is the new development to?
Directly across the street. As
Now,
you
is it
come
housing
down,
development, or-
Michelle's on the right, Coldwell Banker's on the left, and directly across from you is the new apartment townhouse.
So it's the Metropolitan. And how close are they to your building? Are they directly across the street?
They're across the street.
Across the street.
Directly.
Okay. And lighting, are you guys gonna get to that later? Lighting?
There's really no issues of lighting. I mean, the sign proposed, I'll have Mr. Prusel talk about it. The sign proposed is not an internally lit sign. It complies with your ordinance. It's very ornate and will be tastefully lit. I'll let him give you
So will
specifics.
be tastefully lit.
100%, yes. Michelle would have it no other way.
Actually, it's not lit. It's just a solid gold letters, no lighting.
There's no lighting on the sign? Okay, thank you.
Is this on the same side as Walgreens?
Yes.
the other side?
It's at the same side as Walgreens, yeah.
We're going to take you down through a tour down Milburn Avenue, starting at Walgreens and ending basically at the Wyckoff office. But we'll take you on a tour down there so you can understand all of the buildings as we go through.
Please proceed.
Okay. I call Jim Ramatal as my next witness, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, Dave Prusel. My apologies.
I'm just here just in case.
I have a number of photos that have not yet been marked. I'll mark those. I'll have him describe them, and then I'll start them over here, and we can maybe pass them around. Is that what you'd like, Chairman?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Great. All right, Dave, why don't you give us your qualifications? Tell us what you do for a living, how long you've done it, where your office is located, et cetera.
So I own and run SignSource, have been doing so for over 20 years. We're located in Westfield, New Jersey. We are a full-service design, build, and install sign company. This is not our first rodeo with Michelle. We've done several of her locations to this point, and we've done all the interior work for her to this point, and I would like to be able to finish off with the exterior sign.
You heard me previously describe the sign ordinance for the town. I can't testify, so I'm going to have you testify. Based on the size of this building, what would be the largest allowable sign that Signature Real Estate could put on the side of their building?
So we'd be compliant with code with a 308 square foot sign based on the size of Michelle's building. And the sign that we're proposing is 48 square feet.
And then describe for us again, the board is familiar obviously with their ordinance, but your understanding of their ordinance and why we're here. What are the issues that are presenting themselves that are requiring us to come before this board and ask for relief from their ordinance?
So my understanding is the sign is compliant in all regards as to its height, its width, its overall size. It is, as Michelle has indicated, we're not contemplating any illumination at this time. These are polished brass, solid metal letters. Very simple, very tasteful, as Michelle indicated. My understanding is, and the reason that our zoning permit was denied was because, as Jim mentioned, where we wish to place the sign is above the second floor band, and I'll put quotes around second floor band. I'd never come across that term, and I didn't know what it meant. I called the zoning officer to ask for an explanation as to what the second floor band meant. And it was explained to me, well, that's where the first floor ends and the second floor begins. Where we'd like to place the sign.
I've marked A1. Can you describe for me what's been marked as A1 with today's date?
This is a rendering of what we're proposing to do for Michelle's building. This is a set of, as I mentioned, polished brass letters. They're about, the capital letters, the S and the R, are 24 inches, 2 feet tall. The remaining letters are somewhat smaller. And this would be mounted on the fascia across here. The second floor band would be an area just below the window line up here. This area is important to us because, as Jim alluded, this is a driving destination. This entire street, as you come from Walgreens in the first quarter, half mile or so down Milburn Ave, these are all driving destinations. And as you're driving in a vehicle, your focus is not going to be down at street level at that distance. It's going to be higher at that distance. There is shrubbery, there's trees, bushes that are not Michelle's to manage or control. There is another sign for a dental practice that is immediately next door to her that would effectively obscure lettering if we attempted to bring it down lower on this lower facade.
Now let's
area.
use A1 and describe. So we talked about the dental sign. We see that here. The
You're
ordinance.
handing that out?
I'm
You're
sorry.
handing that?
I didn't print these. I
Okay,
only was
okay,
given
so-
one.
so
I'm
you
going to
mentioned
hand it
it.
around. Yeah, I
That's fine.
apologize. I would have loved to have
Sure.
8 of them. So Jim, we see this banding here, and it's your. I'm sorry, Dave. We see this banding here, and it's your understanding that that is the location that we would be able to put our sign and conform. Correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And the proposal, as you said, is at the higher for
Correct.
the reasons you stated. All right.
Once again, that's the westward facing wall, that's correct.
Correct, yes. I'll start over here. Thank you. All right, and to answer Ms. Truitt's question, are there going to be any lights, internal lights, backlit lights, any kind of
Nothing
gooseneck lights?
contemplated at this time.
Okay. There's another sign on the building as well, which we'll call on the easterly facade, or the facade that most directly faces Milburn Avenue, correct?
Correct.
And is that sign at the allowable location and height?
That's fully compliant.
And is that sign lit in any way?
No, it is not.
So there's going to be no reflections, there's going to be no lights onto neighbors who may be in the rear yard, there's going to be no impediment. The business is open during the day, she doesn't need to have it lit up at night, although she might like to for advertising purposes, for the utility of the place. A sign of that height, non-lit, works for her purposes, correct? Okay, all right, let's take a drive down Milburn Avenue. So I'm going to show you what has been marked as A2. We'll start at the corner of Morris Avenue and Milburn Avenue by Wine Library. What have I showed you this picture of?
So this is the Walgreens building. This building has 2 facade signs and a monument sign on the property. On this particular facade, this set of channel letters is about 19 feet above ground level. This building is also built, as are many of the buildings that are built along Milburn Avenue, with a false facade. So this sign is actually above what would be the second floor band if there were a second floor. There is no second floor, but there is that false facade under code, perfectly compliant for them to have the sign where they've placed it, because it's just a 1-story building.
And in your opinion, as a professional sign person, is this sign geared more towards pedestrians, or is it geared more towards vehicular traffic?
Vehicular
What are you
traffic.
looking at?
I'm sorry, I should show that to you. It's a
There we
picture of
go.
Walgreens, my apologies.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I'm used to having these before you guys already. Apologize, I wasn't given all the materials. So we have a picture of Walgreens, and this type of sign, this type of location is geared more towards drivers
This
than it is
This
towards
is a
pedestrians.
destination location, right?
And that sign is how far off the ground?
The bottom of that W is 19 feet above ground.
And your sign proposed at what height?
It would be 19 feet above ground.
Right.
And then, Dave, as we drive down Milburn Avenue, after we pass Walgreens, the next building we come upon is a dry cleaner that's 1 story tall, correct?
That's correct.
And again, not pedestrian oriented, there's a parking lot there. Do you understand, people come, they pick up their dry cleaning,
And
they
they
leave?
Right.
Okay.
This is not a pedestrian corridor along here at all.
We then go to the next building along there, which is a vacant storefront, correct? And then we come into a few standalone buildings as we approach the Signature Property Building. I'm gonna mark A3.
Want to describe what we're looking at?
I'm gonna show it to you first so you can see it.
Okay.
Dave, describe for us what we have here for the board.
We have a series of down here of single-story, well, this is a single-story building. Here's Michelle's. This happens to show the fact that we've got a bush and a sign down here that are going to be visually obstructing a sign on this lower area.
So this is the view on Milburn Avenue as you're traveling towards town. Michelle's building is on the left.
Correct.
And you heard Michelle previously talk about how the facade of her building is blocked by vegetation as you drive down Milburn Avenue.
Right.
This is a representation of what your view would be as you pass the Walgreens and the other businesses, the Sotheby's, et cetera, and approach Michelle's building, correct? And mark A4. Same view as you get closer to the building,
But
correct?
another 40, 50 feet closer to the building.
Okay, and we see that the vegetation has given way, so there's a small shrub, but there is the signage. So there is a visualization of the building. But again, your view of it is that here is better for driving, which this is a
Correct.
driving destination, as opposed to here, which would not be so easily viewed by a driver, as this is not a pedestrian-oriented area, correct?
That is correct. And the other thing I'll point out is that height, letter height, sign height plays a direct role in how, from what distance that sign can be read and can be understood. Sign down here would necessarily be much smaller than the size of the letters that we can place up here, which allow the building to be identified further down the street so that you can plan what you're going to be doing as you approach the building.
Now, the other thing about this sign that I note, or about this picture that I note, is these are parking metered spaces along the street, correct?
That is correct.
Now, if there were cars parked here, if there were vans, if there were SUVs, vehicles of the size and character or quality that we see in Milburn, that would further obstruct your view if it was 12 feet in height, correct?
It would.
Now, I asked you to provide me with some other examples of signs that were above the quote banding. So I'm gonna, and these are in close proximity. I think I'm on 5. Ms. Truitt, does that one say 4?
This one is A4.
Thank you. A5, 10, 21, 24. All right, I'll show the board and you can testify. So what are we looking at here, Mr. Crusoe?
These are either renovated or new construction, single-story commercial buildings with a false facade, allowing for the signage to be raised above ground level. Again, because these are driving destinations.
And are these in compliance with the ordinance? Is your understanding of the roof height or the ceiling height of these?
They're
these
in
buildings?
compliance because there's no second floor. So they are compliant signs.
And do you know the height of these, or can you approximate the height of these off the street?
15 to 16 feet.
And you see the gooseneck lamp, so these are lit, ours are proposed to not be lit, is that
That
correct?
is correct.
And this is on Milburn Avenue within 100, 200 feet of the site. in
Also
question.
correct.
All right. A6, same set of questions, Mr. Crusoe.
Same.
Just
One-story.
Describe what we have for the record.
One-story commercial buildings with a false facade, which allows the sign band to be higher than it would otherwise be. Again, making sure that those signs are adequately visible for driving traffic.
Because it's your understanding that these is not necessarily a pedestrian
Correct.
traversed area. Now, as we get more towards the Weicker, there's more walkable, there's destinations, there's places like this, there's restaurants. But where Michelle is at, it doesn't have that vibe and feel.
Not where Michelle is. No.
All right, A7, again with today's date, directly across the street in the same neighborhood on Milburn Avenue.
Again, a one-story building with a false facade and the sign raised up for visibility.
And we can even see in the reflection on the mirrors, the two properties that we just spoke about, all within less than 100 yards of Michelle's property.
Correct.
All right, let's take a stroll down Milburn Avenue as we approach into town. Oh, and let me just clarify. In that area, predominantly in the town, there are a lot of mere one-story buildings, correct?
Predominantly one story.
Predominantly one story. So Michelle's building is an anomaly because it's a two-story standalone.
Correct.
There's a parking lot. There's a lot of downtown stores that rely on public parking where Michelle does not.
She has her own.
So that further creates a circumstance where this is a driving destination and not a walking destination.
Correct.
Okay. A8 at the corner of Main and Milburn Ave, facing the easterly direction. What do we see here, please?
Mixed use, commercial, but with the sign here, probably 25 feet or so above ground level, and certainly above the second floor band.
We see the second floor band here on the sign there. We see windows indicating the office buildings above the standard, and this sign is above that. So this is a non-compliant sign. It may be allowable under a variance, but in the view of it, this sign is not in compliance with the ordinance.
Correct.
Relief was issued for that sign.
I assume so, Chairman. The point being that this isn't the first time that someone's coming in asking for the sign to be this sign. We continue down, is that an
Eight.
A9.
Do anything that's unique in what you're proposing. I don't need to.
This is the last one. I know. I would have been quicker, but I figured with only two applications on, I could be a little more deliberate with my presentation.
I love the tour of the.
We can ask you the tour. A9, again on Milburn Avenue. Now we're at the other end of the downtown as we almost get out where Essex and Milburn meet. We see this. Describe for us what we see.
This is a two-story building. I would guess it is mixed use with a commercial space below, residential above. The sign on the side is certainly above the second floor band.
And do you know the height of this sign? Our
I
sign
don't
is
know.
19. Is this taller, the same, or is it less?
It will be similar. If anything, it might be a bit less.
So in your opinion, there are other instances of signs that are, that required relief and presumably did obtain relief where they're driving destinations, correct? I'll just quickly mark 10 and 11. This is at the corner of Wyoming and Milburn Avenue. Again, different zone. We appreciate that, right, Mr. Prusso? But again, we know where there's a driving destination, the signs are relatively
higher,
larger
larger
and higher.
and higher.
And I submitted that one already. That one. So in your opinion, Mr. Prusso, while the sign in fact does not comply with the town ordinance based on the specifics of this particular property, the relief is warranted because of the location, the difference in that neighborhood as opposed to other walking spaces in Milburn, and the requirement that people essentially drive to this business. All of those things are the reason that you believe that this sign should be at the level requested, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for our sign?
Just to clarify.
I have more pictures if you want them.
Thanks. No, I appreciate all of that. So just to clarify in a nutshell, your belief is that all of the signs would be the same height if you looked across? Like you mentioned, you showed us a bunch. The Shade Place, this is Taste Buddy, Torino can't read my own writing, that they're all the same height as your proposed sign?
I think, was your testimony, was it all of them are 19? I don't think that was
No,
your testimony.
no. The signs that you mentioned are around 15 or so feet
So they're a little
above
bit
ground
lower.
level.
So they're a little bit lower, so this would
Correct.
be up higher.
And the difference also there, Mr. Prusso, is that those are contiguous. As you walk down the street, there's no parking lot, there's no alleyway. Those are, you walk and there's a business, you walk and there's a restaurant, you walk and there's a store.
They're all connected.
As opposed to when you hit the Coldwell Banker office, it then sparses out. We have parking lots.
Standalone buildings with
We have standalone
parking lots.
buildings. We have street breaks among the streetscape there, correct?
Correct.
From the Milburn Standard, it looks like their sign was on the side, the one that you cited as being high,
Correct.
but the front of Milburn Standard, that sign is high or low? The front one, the
The
one
front
that
of-
says Milburn Standard.
The one on the owner.
Front, the restaurant, actually, yeah, on Main Street.
That's compliant.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know, but I'm just asking, so, okay. All right, so that one's not high, just the one on the side.
It was the
correct?
Walgreens that was 19 feet.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the one on the front is compliant. We have that one up already. We've held back on this one, hoping that the board sees that this would be a benefit to the community, as well as the people who are driving on that
Just trying
street.
to see what's, the normal thing.
It's a hodgepodge down there. I mean, I hate to speak out of turn, but it is. You know, you have 119 that's internally illuminated. You know, you look across the street here, they're all at the right height. There's a mix. They all seem to be trending a little higher. And in this particular situation, Michelle, just, you know, for the reasons we requested, is looking for a better height.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Just a clarifying question. I mean, this is a two-story building.
Correct.
As opposed to the other one.
I'm sorry, he's
So
testifying.
Correct.
what's, is this just high ceiling inside or is this, what's on the second floor of the building? Is it just high ceiling from, you know, is there no second floor? And
There is a full second floor in this building, and the ceiling heights in the first and second floor are what, 8.5, 9 feet?
I'm just gonna mark-
If you're gonna testify, you need to come to the microphone.
I'm just gonna mark A12. I'm gonna have Jim Raymond, I'll just identify that.
Yes.
James Ramatal, Vieri Architects, licensed architect of the state of New Jersey since 1979, in full compliance, and have testified before many boards before.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Jim, you see what I've marked as A12?
Yes.
That's a rendition, relatively speaking, of what the Signature Realty office looks like.
That's correct.
It's 2 full stories.
It's 2 full
On the
stories.
first floor, we have an entry, we have a reception area, and then we have a coffee area and a casual, relaxed venue.
Yes,
And then as we go upstairs, there's your traditional real estate conference rooms, and then some co-working space where you can plug in your laptop, have a seat, open up and work upstairs, correct?
exactly.
Is there
Yes.
anything on the third floor other than utilities? It's just a roof,
It's
correct?
just a roof, no third floor.
And A12 is an accurate representation, generally speaking, of what the building looks like, correct?
Yes, correct. So to answer your question, I think of height, we utilize the structure of the first and second floor. So we have an 8-foot high ceiling on the first floor, approximately, I'll call it 12 inches of structure, which brings us to 9 feet, and then another 8 feet of second floor ceiling. So we do the 8 and 9, that's 17, and then add another foot or so for what the baseline of the sign would be. So we'll call that 20 feet. Is that correct? Did I do my math right? I think I
I
did.
think you did, correct?
So is this sign at all visible from the neighbors behind you?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the angle of the building would restrict the view from only those on Milburn Avenue or across the street where that big Jeffrey Realty building is.
Yeah, we actually, and I don't know if this is relevant or not, but I get
Come up to the
neighbors,
Come up to the microphone.
we get neighbors all the time walking into our space and saying, what is this? They have no idea what we are. So hopefully the sign will be pretty clear for the real estate office. So that's, and this is constant coming in.
Any other questions? Sorry to hound on this one. So you don't want it to be in compliance because the trees will hide it? I'm just asking, again, for clarifying, is that the main reason you don't want it to be in compliance?
I think there's a few reasons. I know Michelle testified about the trees and the visualization as you drive down. I know Dave testified. We showed the pictures there where, you know, the argument of, I'm making argument, not testimony now, would be that as you come down from Walgreens, you're going to be looking at your GPS. You're going to drive right by this place because you're not going to see it. It's a glass building. There's trees and vegetation. If there's cars parked, if you have it at the height that you want it, people's eyes as they drive are going to be trained on traffic, and then they're going to be looking here, especially when you have a 3-story building on your right, and they're not going to be looking to pull into a parking lot at a first floor height sign. It's going to be a higher visual. They're going to need to be looking up.
I don't think because the car will be lower than the first.
So I think if you look back at one of the exhibits, you can kind of see it. And as you're driving, I mean, as we stop, sure, you'll be able to see it in the nearer view of it. You can see it. But as you're reacting, you're looking at your GPS, you're not familiar with where you're going, you're going to have trees and trees and trees and trees. And then all of a sudden it's going to open up. You're going to slam on your brakes and you have to make a hard left. And what are you going to do? You're going to go in the Coldwell Banker office because their parking lot is the next thing that you can turn into.
Is there signage there right now? Can people still make that mistake?
There is no signage
Okay,
there
so
now.
maybe that's why.
Not on that
So
facade.
maybe that's why they want to call it.
But I mean, you know, if you look at the photo again, you're not, it's literally, you're not going to see it. Maybe it would be helpful, but it's really not going to be as visible at a 12-foot height as it will be as 19. And you see the other examples of similar situations of building.
Thanks so much.
This is exactly what you submitted with the application, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I also marked it too.
Yeah, it's fine. Any other questions? Anything further?
I do not. I just, if anyone has any questions from the audience, I just preserve 30 seconds to sum up.
Regarding this application, any questions for either the owner of the business or testimony we heard from the professionals? Come on down, you gotta introduce yourself. Give us your name and record.
Hello, Robert Barton. I live at 60 Meadowbrook Road, Short Hills.
This is for let's start with questions. Do you have any questions?
The only question is, are we seeking a variance for a sign above the roof line, or is the only part stricken from the ordinance just the second floor line? I want to make sure that the variance is maintained, the ordinance is maintained above the, no sign above the roof line.
So here's the
Oh,
front.
you have it, okay.
And then if you could just hand me back one of
Those are over there.
So here's what you see now, coming from from the easterly direction, and that's the top of the building where she would like to put the sign.
Okay.
So it's not a false facade, it's right on the building.
And the variance is not seeking to be let out of the above the roof line piece, only the second floor piece. Is that correct?
Yeah, the application is for a sign affixed to the fascia, not above the roof line.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions regarding, come on up. Just your name and address for the record. These are questions, we'll have time for comment if you do want to comment.
Mayank Saraswat, 68 Meadowbrook Road,
Spell your last name.
Saraswat. My only question is, what is the, I guess, the likelihood of in future changing the sign from current golden one to like a lighted sign? Can that be done in the future if anybody decides to do that?
I would have to defer to our.
Mr. Chairman, we would stipulate that any variance provided to this applicant would be limited to the sign that's presented in the application. If there was any additional need to change that sign in the future, we would consent to come back here and ask your permission again. If we wanted to put lights on it that would be attached to the building, same rules would apply.
Take you up on that offer. There's your answer.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we've got a condition of approval. It is such.
I just have a question about as to the location.
Name and address?
My name is Jeffrey Feld, 11 Alexander Lane. This building is located basically at the corner of Milburn and Bolsher Way where there's a traffic light. Is that correct? I'd just like to confirm the fact, because that really has not been highlighted, saying there's trees, but they don't talk about there being a traffic light. If someone's coming and they're asking for directions, you say you stop, there's the traffic light, you turn left and you come in.
Question on that. If someone's sitting at the traffic light, can they see this sign?
Depends on the traffic, I guess. If you're the first or second car, just on mere distance, no. But if you're the third or fourth or fifth car, I think then you probably would be able to see it if you were stopped.
Any other questions regarding this application? Any comments regarding the application? If you have a comment, we'll swear you in. Going. Yes? No? Okay. Last two questions from the board. I'll close the public portion of this. Board members, what are your thoughts?
But I would be supportive of the application. I think given the nature of the neighborhood or that part of Milburn Ave, I don't think a sign at a second floor level would be out of character or in fact, I think it kind of might look a little odd if it were at the first floor level. So I think, and the fact that the sign will not be lit, I think also is positive. So I would be willing to support the application.
Thank you, Terry. Any other comments?
I'll go with that, but I would like to make it a condition of the approval that there's no lights, so that sort of sticks with the property going forward, even if the property is
Public
sold.
portion's closed at this point.
I just wanted to stipulate that we would go no lights, but I want to clarify that there might be landscape lighting, but I don't think that would reach to the ceiling, to the
If
roof.
it's compliant, it's fine. So
Anyway, if we added that condition that the sign would not be lighted, and that's part of the condition of approval, then I would be supportive of this.
Any other thoughts?
I would agree.
Based on the location of the sign, the fact that it really doesn't face any residents, since it faces primarily westward, I don't really have an issue with this. I think if it did face residents, I might. Also not being illuminated, I think that's definitely an asset to the community, where we get the objective of visibility at the same time with very minimal impact and disturbance on the neighbors. So I too would be supportive of this application with the, as mentioned, stipulation of condition that it will not be illuminated. If that's the case, can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second, with a condition, I have to say that, as discussed.
Thank you.
Shadu Rajani,
Yes.
Gary Rosen,
Yes.
Regina Truitt.
Yes.
Priscilla Sirotta,
Yes.
Jessica Black.
Yes.
Rick Lehman.
Yes, good luck with your sign. Thank you. Members of the board, please. Next up, we have calendar 4009-24, 87 Great Hills Road.
Hi, I'm Mahesh Tank.
I'm sorry, so who's going to be speaking this evening?
I'm going to talk.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
fine.
the owner, yeah.
Raise your right hand. Do you,
Hi,
wait. Do you swear, just keep your hand up. Do you
Okay.
swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give tonight to the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
yes,
Your name for the record, just spelling your name.
Mahesh Tank,
Just spell it.
MAHESHTUNK.
And you are in relation to this project?
I'm the contractor for this project.
Contractor.
Yeah, actually, my architect also was supposed to be here. He has the same date. He has the meeting in Summit. So that's why I'm doing this for him, on behalf of him.
No.
So you didn't draw those plans, you're not familiar with those plans, you're not an architect?
No, I'm not an architect, but I know what's exactly happening on this property.
Yeah.
You can't testify the architectural plans, what's happening with the property.
Do you want the owner to testify? It's a variance which is already approved 2 years ago, which basically needs the same thing exactly right now.
Well, the owner can certainly testify if on his own property, but unfortunately, you cannot testify in any capacity other than to the actual construction of the building.
Okay.
But as for the variance, if the owner would like to give it a valiant
Yeah,
effort,
if you give us 5
then certainly
minutes.
do that.
Yeah, give me like 5 minutes.
Sure.
For it, so.
What's that?
Everything is.
It does say that, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, you can see the architect. No. Well, I don't know when we approved this project.
It's going to be
The one of the previous one on this property.
Yeah. I think, was it over in the house? the
the
first time?
line.
Yes,
66
yeah.
over there.
I think it's signed here too. It wasn't just set up.
From the side, yeah. 66 right now. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so there's 66 feet. Yeah. Okay, right, that's right. So, so there's 66, so we're going to confine to 40 feet. Okay. So that's what it is. Yeah, so we're changing the address, we're changing the house to auto address, and then changing the line of compliance from 66 feet to 40 feet. Okay, so that's the way we, this is the previous approved. So each one of them will get one of the line.
All right, come on forward. Let's swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to be given tonight proceeding to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Just your name for the record,
I'm
please.
Kiran, Kiran Bathula, Bathula.
And your relation to the property, sir?
I'm owner of the property.
Okay.
So we want to make a new construction, change actually, not a new construction. We want to modify the house and the current variance, the current, what do you call the distance from the road Farbrook. We are changing, currently we are our direction is towards Great Hills Road. We want to move it towards Farbrook. Our property is located at the corner of Farbrook and Great Hills. So on the Great Hills side, we want to request a variance, which the current, I think, is 66 feet from the Farbrook. We want to construct it up to 40 feet. That's what we are requesting to do it.
And what is it now currently as it exists?
It's a single family house.
No. Your setbacks, where do they currently exist at?
60 feet. No, not a whole property is not at 60, no. The current is at 40 feet. That's it.
Something here.
Yeah.
New construction is going to be, extension is going to be a so it's right now for extending the house, it's 66. So currently it's at 40, but new extension is at only 66 feet. You can't go beyond that. So we need to do it at 40, the new extension, new part of the house. The new little part of the house.
The part of the new addition we are building is from 60, we want to make it as a 40, move towards the road, up to 40. That's
Right,
right.
so, trying to see if I can get this, so are you exacerbating the problem? Are you making it worse than it currently is?
No, I don't think so, but I know because
Okay, there we go.
technicalities.
So basically, is it the current ordinance of how it's calculated that is creating your need for the variance?
Correct.
Are you coming closer to the street?
Yes.
Okay, where are you coming closer to the street?
Not towards the street. The current line is still going to be the 40 from the Farbrook, but the extension is going to be, in the similar line to what we have right now, but towards our next door neighbor, we are increasing the house direction, which is, this is going on this side.
That's not what you're planning
No.
for.
No, technically, that's what I'm planning. I understand, but I don't know how to articulate this 60 and 40 numbers is the problem.
So can I help him out as a friend?
You can't. It's the
Yeah.
problem. See, this is where I'm trying to,
So basically,
house.
the current house is in compliance with 40 feet. So the new addition is going to be at 40. According to the law, you can only build from 66 feet back.
Right, that's
behind.
good. That's
So,
what-
but
that's
we
what-
need 40 feet
That's it.
because according to,
understood.
so that's
That's what
the,
he asked the question, I'm saying it's the same thing.
so my question
Yes,
is,
sir, go ahead.
are you making the condition worse than what the current closest part of the house is to the street?
No,
No. There you go. Okay, your home currently sits at 36.8 feet. And your proposed is 40 feet. So that's really, that's the proposal of the addition, correct? Not the-
correct.
Right, so your home still is gonna be 36.8 feet.
That's correct.
It's just the new part of your addition is gonna get closer to 40 feet
Yeah.
to where it's gonna be.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm not gonna go into why it's 66 feet because that's just an existing condition and everyone here understands how front yard setback is calculated. So with that, does the board have any questions for this gentleman?
Is there a hardship that makes this, did you need to come in front of the board to ask for this variance? Is there a problem with the size of the lot or anything like that? Is there a hardship?
the hardship is only the.
The 60 feet, the compliance is the only hardship. Reality wise, it's a half acre lot. It is the hardship is the current compliance, or if I need to completely demolish the whole house, is the pricing and everything, because if I need to go completely to the back, I need to build like a railway track, like, make it straight at 60 from the whole front to the back. That is more actually financially, and other thing is it's not feasible to do that.
Would that also create other variances?
Other variances, and also it's actually going to mess up the even look of the place and everything. It's going to mess up more.
So there is no other variance that will get impacted apart from this
No,
40 feet?
not really, no.
So FAR and all the other.
Everything we are in compliance.
Completely
Nothing
compliant.
completely compliant. We are just only
is this lot undersized for the zone, do you know? Is it, like this particular lot, do you know if it's undersized compared to other lots?
It's just because of the corner lot.
It's because it's a corner
Corner
lot?
That's
Okay.
the only thing.
So it's not undersized, but it is on the corner?
It's just a corner lot, and corner lots have a different, that's the only issue of the, if it was not a corner lot, would not be any issue. at all.
Okay, any other questions?
And just, I mean, there are a lot of numbers here. What is the dimensions of the proposed two-story addition? Is that, and
It is.
so how do I read this? There's
So
a lot-
it's 46 by 22 extension. 46.
No,
Total there are something or the increase.
Just the additional part.
46 by 22 then.
46 by 20.
22, that's it. Increase.
So make this really simple. Does the house currently comply as it sits on the lot right now?
Yes. No, the current one, no, it doesn't comply. At this,
not.
as it is not compliant, current one. It was, I think,
The way it was built, that
built, it was built,
Right.
that's it, yeah.
you're just a lot closer to Farbrook than your neighbor is, correct?
That's correct.
And everybody else is set a lot further back.
Back, that's it.
Right. And would be basically an anomaly due to the fact you're on a corner lot.
That's correct.
And once again, you're not exacerbating the condition, you're merely just building on top, which
That's
is creating
An
an existing
addition,
condition and that's how it is. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience regarding this application? Any comments from the audience regarding this application? Then I will close the public portion of this. First I'll ask, is the board comfortable with the testimony they've heard so they understand what we're dealing with here? Okay. Any thoughts on this?
I would support this application for the reasons that you.
Right, fleshed out for us. Hold on.
The reasons that our chair knows. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it's clear that this is, just kind of one of those situations where, it's more about our ordinance than it is about what the applicant is actually trying to do. I don't think it would make sense to knock down the house, to build it in compliance, which would then set off a whole host of other problems and needs for different variances. So again, I would support the application.
I'll go. Thank you for presenting. This isn't easy. You're not a
No, I know
professional.
it's
And you
not, but-
actually did a good job. And
Thank
we filled in anything that
Thank you.
our attorney would write down in a minute. So the existing condition is very close to your proposed usage. So, and I actually know your architect, he worked on my house, he's a good guy. And I know the house, it was Joan Borneman's house, for those of you who know that a lot. So I would be in support of this and thank you for presenting.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would be supportive of this. I understand that, the ordinance is causing a bit of an issue here. Good news is that we've rewritten that ordinance. Hopefully it'll be passed the TC soon. We won't see this type of application again. But, I would be supportive of the application. So in that case, go to motion.
Make a motion to approve the application.
In a second.
Second,
Sandra Berjani,
yes.
Gary Rosen.
Yes.
Regina Truitt.
Yes.
Priscilla Surratt.
Yes.
Jessica Black.
Yes.
Rick Wakeman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there any comments or questions regarding anything else not on tonight's agenda? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. A second? All those in favor? Good evening.
Thank you. Sorry for this.
No, you did
I appreciate
fine.
it.
It's hard.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right, have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.